welcome back to Beauty Bees. I'm Iris, and this is the long-awaited return of a series on my channel that I like to call Makeup That Really Should Exist. Though this time it's nail polish that really should exist. I decided that I wanted to pull together like a little fantasy collection for Halloween. This is a 6-piece nail polish collection, and the theme that I chose was the Monster Mash. Now, the Monster Mash very much is the type of Halloween that I enjoy. It's a little bit campy, it brings in those spooky elements without being scary in any way, and I think it's a lot of fun. To try to capture that essence, I pulled together 6 fantasy polishes. Each of these is a Crelly formula. So there is a base color that is pretty full coverage once it's built up over 2 to 3 coats. And then there is glitter encapsulated within that polish. And I suppose that technically 2 of these are not Crellys because the base polish is not a cream polish. It is a shimmery or holographic base, but we're gonna roll with it. I don't really have a better term to describe that. If you do, I would be very interested to hear what it is. I'm always up to learn a little bit more about nail polish. Like I said, this is a 6-piece collection. We have a red, an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue, and a purple. So I think we're going to start with the purple because this gives you, I think, a good idea of what I mean by not quite a Crelly. Now this shade is called I Was Working in the Lab, and it is a purple base, kind of a blue toned purple, which is one of my absolute favorite types of colors. And then that blurply base has quite a bit of holographic, very small glitters running through it, as well as a couple of different formats of larger glitters. So we have silver crescent moons, matte black stars, and then I don't know how obvious it is in the image, but there are also these purple smaller matte stars that are somewhat similar in tone to the base of the polish, but a little bit lighter. I think this polish gives a really good sort of basis for what I wanted this whole collection to feel like, in that we have these like spooky-ish Halloween elements. We're bringing in those black stars, those crescent moons, but this isn't scary in the slightest. It's a more cartoonish, campy take on Halloween. The next polish is the red in the collection. This is called Transylvania Twist, and this is a sort of a muted, deeper red. It's not quite burgundy. I think there's a tiny drop of an orangey brown that stops it from quite going into burgundy, but it's definitely not a crazy, bold, super saturated red. I love the black and white circle glitters of varying sizes that are in this polish. I think this would give an awesome amount of dimensionality because you would see not just the glitters that are on top, but glitters that had 1 to 2 coats of polish on top of them underneath. I think it would make your nails look very deep and give a lot of visual interest. Now, I chose the name Transylvania Twist for this one because it's the red, so I wanted it to be sort of the Dracula polish. But what I see when I look at this is Dr. Pepper. To me, this looks like a visual representation of how Dr. Pepper tastes. Now, maybe that's strange, but if I had to translate Dr. Pepper into a color, I think it would be very similar to this reddish base, and that bubbliness that's given by those black and white circle glitters, I think, again, just fits so well, not just with the carbonation, but also with the really strange flavor profile that you see in Dr. Pepper. I didn't set out to make a Dr. Pepper polish, but you know, I think this would be a good one. I feel like the natural transition from the red, both in rainbow order and in the polishes themselves, is to the orange, which is really more of a peach. This is the shade that I'm calling Graveyard Smash, and it has the same white and black circle glitters that we saw in the red, though a little bit less of them. This is a little bit more sparse on those white and black glitters because we have 2 additional types of glitter added into the mix. We have these smaller yellow and pink glitters added in, and these glitters are rectangular. I feel like this looks like confetti. It just looks like a good time. This looks like a party, which is why I chose the name Graveyard Smash for this one, though now, as I'm sitting down to film, I'm realizing that it might mean something more like it's a smash hit than that they're having a party in the graveyard. I don't know how I came to that conclusion. Probably because I first heard this song when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and at that point, it made sense to me. Anyway, let's move on to the yellow. This one I'm calling Coffin Bangers, and I think that this is such a fun, like, harvest time polish. It's this very golden color that I personally really associate with harvest time, because before you harvest, like corn, for example, it dries up and it turns this sort of golden shade, and then it turns a really ugly brown. But let's focus on the gold for the moment. And I decided to amp up the feeling that it was gold rather than yellow by adding some holographic shimmer to this, and I think it's really pretty. To make it fit in a little bit better with the rest of the polishes, it also has these pretty small blue and green glitters. I think that this would probably be the easiest of the bunch to remove. Obviously, it's a fantasy collection. It's not like these polishes are real. I don't need to think about being able to take them off of my nails, but I can't quite get that thought out of my mind, and I would be so on board with this. I also think that this could be a really good summer polish. That actually goes for a lot of the polishes in this collection. I don't think any of them are really tied to fall, but this one I think would be so fun for summer. So that's it for the non-curly polishes. The next one is this really fun green. This is the first one that I made, and I am in love with it. I have a polish from Leisha's Lacquers that I cannot think of the name of right now, but I always think of it as my Frankenberry polish because it just feels very cartoon Frankenstein to me. And that was kind of where I started. I will try to put the name up and a picture if I can find one, but it is a very green polish with some neon and small black glitters in it. I decided that I wanted to go with a similar type of green, make it a bit more saturated, a bit more like a true Frankenstein, and then add just a party mix of different glitters to it to really bring in that party factor. The idea that they're having this big party in, I don't know if it's the graveyard or the laboratory, spooky castle somewhere. So there are several different types of glitters in here. We have some like really deep burgundy red circles, yellow circles, purple stars, the same pink glitters that we saw in the peach one, and I think that's it. Really hard to be quite sure because, well, first of all, I made these about 2 weeks ago and I don't really remember the process, but also because there's just a lot going on here. However, I feel like it ends up being pretty cohesive because the brighter colors are all in a similar level of saturation, and then they're sort of grounded from feeling too bright by these burgundy circles. I think that they really do help to ground the polish, sort of give you a little bit of a respite from all of the bright colors. Overall, I just think that those little burgundy dots really elevate this polish into something that doesn't just feel like leftover glitter poured into a green base. And I don't remember if I actually said what this polish's name was, but I've been calling this one Monster Mash. It's the titular polish, and I think that this one really does just fit the whole idea of the Monster Mash party. And then the last polish that we have is Crypt Kicker 5. So this is a really bright, I would say like a sky blue, but amped up a couple of notches. I think it's a really pretty base color. This is definitely a color that, even though I don't think it looks very good on me, I really do gravitate towards, really no matter the season, and fall is no exception for me personally. And then I love the additions to this blue. The mix of colors of glitter that in here works really well. We have a black and green set of rectangle glitters, the black ones being a little bit bigger than the green ones, and then we have matte white stars. I think the contrast between the black, the white, and the blue is really spot on, and then I like the little bit of added depth and added interest that having this green that doesn't really contrast a whole lot with the blue adds to the polish. I feel like it's the kind of thing that I would be really drawn to looking at. That green sort of pulls me in a little bit deeper, makes me look a little bit closer at it. So let's look at all 6 of the polishes together. We have a little rainbow of these curly glitters, and I'm in love. That shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, I designed them. It would be kind of bad if I didn't like them. But I'm really happy with how these turned out. I think that if this collection was real, if I encountered this on a website, I would be pretty hard pressed to choose which ones came home with me, though I don't think there's any way that I could leave Transylvania Twist and Crypt Kicker 5 alone. Like, those would absolutely have to come home. The other four, I'm telling myself that I would be good and, you know, leave them, admire from afar, but I would want them too. I think these are just so fun and a very different take on Halloween, but still very fitting with the very Halloween inspiration. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a different video. I certainly enjoyed making it, and I might consider doing something similar for the holidays or Valentine's Day, something along those lines going forward. So let me know if you'd be interested. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!